Now, from where I live, Hampton Roads, Virginia here, you can't go from one city or the next, or sometimes from one side of the city to the next, unless you're going over or under water. So if something would have happened to any of those bridges, any of those tunnels, that would cut off my access. To make it home, I always, one of the main things I carry, other than my my get home bag, which would take me, has enough supplies in here to last 7 days, is in my wheel well, I have a 12-foot inflatable kayak that all of this would go into, and I can literally paddle home, and it would probably take about 24, 48 hours to get back. And it dawned on me, since we've lived out here a little over 3 years, I haven't had that kayak out of my wheel well at all. And which is a problem, because if something would have happened tomorrow or the next day, what if there's a hole in it? What if it's ripped? What if there's something on that kayak messed up that is going to strand me? So what I am going to do today is I'm going out to one of our state parks that has a large lake on it. I'm going to inflate the kayak, check it out, make sure it doesn't have any holes, any leaks, anything like that. And then I'm going to load it up with my get home bag, the portable trailer that I carry with it. And then I'm going to take it out onto the lake itself, make sure everything's durable, and then I'm not going to have any problems. This would be the kayak. Poor thing ain't been out in 3 years, so we'll throw everything in the truck and meet you over at the state park. What you see here is everything I keep in the trunk of my car. My get home bag, my collapsible wagon I keep in the trunk, and below that, my kayak, the inflatable kayak that you'll be seeing shortly. And one of the biggest reasons I take the wagon is if I am on the way home or leaving home and I'm quite a few miles, if something happens where there's no more transportation and I'm not near a body of water, I can at least throw everything in this wagon and find the nearest source of water that I can drop off into. I didn't even bother to check the kayak when I pulled it out of my trunk, threw it in my bed of my truck to make sure I had everything. So I just proceeded to go down to the lake, which was 20 minutes away. I don't have the air pump and no way to inflate it, and I'm sure as hell I'm not going to blow it up by mouth. It would take all day, so I'm going to have to stop, break everything, pack everything back up in the truck, and go back home and grab it. All right, well, made it back. Didn't even know it, but when I left, I had dropped my freaking sleeping bag. The park ranger here called me as I got back out here. Let me know that when I left, it fell out on the ground. Didn't even notice it when I put it back in the bag back in the truck. What caused me to take it out today was the fact that the wife and I were talking about it the night before, and I'm using it for my getting home in case something happened. And it dawned on me, I hadn't had this kayak out of the back of my truck at least 3 or more years ago when we went up to Maine, and I used it out of Moosehead Lake. I finished up, just tossed it in the wheel well and forgot about it. And it dawned on me while talking to her, there could be a few things wrong with this kayak, and I need to make sure that if I need it in an emergency, it's going to be fine. That's when I decided to take it out onto the lake this day. And the point is, if I'm having to get back home, I got to make sure that everything here gets in the kayak. These here are also inflatable seats. Comes with 2, but I'm only going to put 1 in there since it's just me. And this isn't actually the real test of taking it across the river. I just wanted to make sure it didn't have any holes in it. Matter of fact, I flipped it over in the water a few times, which was off camera, so I cut that out. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but got a car right at the parking lot there blasting the music. Come out to a state park, people are coming out here with a peace and quiet. You know, have a little respect, turn the damn music off or turn it down where only you can hear it. You know, there's no need to bother everyone else out here. Unfortunately, some folks' lives are so miserable that they have to make everyone that's around them miserable in order to make them feel better. Carry the pump, because I'll end up having to deflate the kayak. When I get it somewhere else I have to use it again, I'll have to re-inflate it. So this has got to go. And I'll put this in up on the bow here. Got a little net to hold that. And it's an anchor, drops down, it's got about 25 feet of rope on it. I carry that because if something happens and I know I'm not going to make it home in just one day on this kayak, and I got to spend the night somewhere. Probably much safer if I anchor off away from the embankment and sleep right in the kayak. Not going anywhere without my life jacket. Right, and I just noticed this isn't my life jacket. And it was here, of course, I realized also I didn't have the proper life vest. I had my granddaughter's life vest, and I'm guessing my other one was back home in the shed. And I wanted to make sure that I had all my gear correct, that it would fit in the kayak, and that it was still stable when I take it out on the water. And like I said, I just wanted to do this quick trip here to make sure that everything was packed right, that it would be stable, and they didn't have any leaks. I wanted to make sure I had all my equipment, because this lake is nice and smooth. But the whole purpose was just to make sure that the bug out bag, everything else I had in it was going to be sturdy. I'm going to break everything down and get it in the truck and head back home, and to make sure this time that I have all the freaking gear that I need in the back of that trunk, and get my regular life preserver, other than this little children's size. You can see just how unprepared I would have been if there'd have been an emergency. The river is going to be the real test, because it's not as smooth and calm as this lake here. This was just to make sure that the kayak didn't have any leaks or any problems if I did take it out of the water. Another thing I realized a little while later was I should have put the sleeping bag up front and my air pump behind me, because if I'm going across the river and I do find out I've got a small leak, I can at least start pumping it back up. And I've got videos out on the wagon here and other wagons that make great bug out wagons. So you don't have to carry all that gear on your back all the time. Now with the air pump all the way up front, I would have had to get out of the seat, crawled over this inflatable raft over my get home bag, and reached over and grabbed it, pulled it back, which would have been really dangerous, because I could have possibly flipped over. So I was able to set it up, break it back down, and pack it up within 40 minutes. And that's not counting the time I was actually out there on the water, which was just, what, 3 or 4 minutes? So, load it back up on the truck, and get it packed away, and discuss the lessons I learned on this little adventure. That's what I'm saying. You've always got to make sure you're constantly trying out your gear, you're constantly checking on your gear, because I came out here totally unprepared, thinking with the confidence, my full confidence, that I had everything I needed.